Hey everybody, Dave here, Site Operations Director of Blinko Glass. Thanks for joining us today. We have Haleigh Adkins here, granddaughter of Mr. Ray Adkins, a longtime glass blower here and glass worker at Blinko Glass. If you've taken a class here at Blinko, odds are it's been under Ray's guidance. What we're here today is to help Haleigh raise money for a softball trip that she's taking to Australia. So she's actually going to represent America and Australia for this trip. I understand she's about $1,800 short. We're going to make some extra glass pieces today, and then we're going to make them available on Blinko.com for sale later. All those proceeds go straight to Haleigh's trip. So stick around today and watch as Ray, Mark, Charlie, Derek, and Haleigh create some glass for us. So we're going to turn this camera around here, and we're going to get to work. Okay, good morning everybody. Hopefully you can hear me just fine. If you can't, please do leave a comment. It's a little bit noisy here on the production shop. So here is the bench where Haleigh's going to be taking a seat in just a moment. You'll see there's this bag, a mystery bag. What is that? We're going to find out exactly what that is here in just a moment. We're going to do some really cool pieces today. Let's go ahead and take a look at our mold as well. If you joined us for our last live broadcast, you'll remember this piece. This is our 6419 ripple vase. We're going to do some cool things with it. See the shape there a little bit, kind of fuzzy. Good morning, Christy. Good morning, Michael. Thanks for joining us today. So here's Charlie getting his pipe nice and hot. You'll notice that sometimes you'll see a pipe leaning up against the glory hole like you see right here. And what is happening is they're heating those pipes, and it's actually the punny pipes right now. So you'll see a little itty bitty piece of glass on the end. And that's the punty. Here in just a moment you'll see where that comes into play. Alright, Haleigh, you want to go ahead and have a seat? Alright, so Haleigh is in the blower's bench right now. So in the background here you see we have Derek, who is our mold holder and carrying for the day. And in the background we have Mom and little brother back there hanging out. Getting ready for the glass. So what we're waiting on right now is Ray is out of shot. He's getting the bubble started for the piece. I don't know what color he's starting with, so we're going to have a couple mysteries unfold before our eyes. Let's walk over and see what Derek's doing. So you'll see that mold actually sits on yet another piece of cherry wood that lets the glass and the steam kind of expand out. So Derek's ready in the position. You'll notice these stairs behind us here with the trendy yellow paint. The paint is of course to draw attention to the steps, but they call that a dummy. So here in just a moment, Haleigh will have a very hot piece of glass on her bench right here, sitting across under Ray's guidance, of course, helping her shape and blow the piece. Behind her, you'll see we have one of our furnaces. Those who follow Blinko might know we have some new colors here recently. So this is our Citrine Tank. This is, we call it internally our 7A furnace, but this is actually our yellow glass. Now, I don't know if you can tell it or not. You see that pool of molten hot glass currently sitting at, how hot is it? 1,980 degrees. It's actually just a little bit under where we typically keep our glass. Each glass color has its own melting temperature, its own holding temperature, etc., etc. See that glass, the gas just blasting it. All about that air-gas ratio. We're still waiting for Mr. Ray to get that ball ready. He'll be over in any moment.
anybody has any questions, don't hesitate to let me know. If anybody has a collar combo in mind, if you'd like to see a ripple vase in a specific collar combination, call it out and let us know. Okay, so here comes Charlie now with a fully formed ball of glass. You see him walk into shot here. There he is. You know, Ray is also not wearing a mask right now. He may have to fill in for Haleigh in just a moment. And so what you're seeing here, Charlie spinning the pipe so that it actually rolls across the bench. Ray is helping Haleigh shape the piece right now. You see there's subtle differences. So that block he's using, that handmade block here made at Blinko out of cherry wood, just like our molds, is actually shaping and moving the weight of that glass on the body. So you'll see as he kind of moves it off the pipe here, it's very, very subtle, but he's forming the shape and moving the weight of the glass off the end of the pipe. Charlie just spinning away over there. You have to keep it continually moving. If you stop, that glass, through gravity, will just kind of hit the ground. So you'll see the shape is fine now. She's going to give it a little puff of air to increase the volume of the shape. See, very, very, very subtle, just a little puff. See, now to get just a little bit bigger. And you'll see it looks like Charlie's just kind of hanging out and letting it dangle there. In a way he is. He's actually using gravity to assist in lengthening the piece. So a little puff of air, a little bit of gravity, and just kind of hang out with it for a bit, and it'll help shape itself. So you'll see now, again, very subtle, but the ball there is changing shape. So you'll see now they're using a flat paddle to take that weight off the end even further, pushing it off, pushing it off. You can see it's kind of getting more cylindrical as they work it. Okay, this tool that Ray is using now are called jacks. One of the tools of the trade here. All glass workers and glass finishers have a set, and what that's used for mostly is for constricting the neck of the piece. Flashing the piece right now to add a uniform heat throughout. We want the entire body of that piece to be nice and hot. As hot as we can get it while staying on the pipe. Glowing red hot now, where it was chilled before. Another gravity assist. This piece is so big, Ray is again helping Mark here form that constriction point or the jack line where eventually the piece will be broken off the pipe. Back in the glory hole, you'll see where he puts it inside the glory hole matters. The deeper he goes, the more heat will be applied to the piece. Sometimes you only want the end of the piece to be heated, so where you put it in that glory hole matters. There's certain hot spots that you have to kind of learn where the hot spot is. It's one of those things that comes with practice. Okay, so the mold is nice, or the glass is nice and hot now, going where the mold is. Another gravity assist to shape the piece. In the mold it goes. And here goes Haleigh. So she's blowing now, blowing. Kind of like filling a balloon, but just a little bit harder maybe. Charlie on standby there to grab that pipe as soon as it's done. Ray rotating that piece around. And that mold is actually symmetrical. The reason being it needs to spin around and kind of ride on that cushion of steam. There we go. All right. Charlie swinging it around here, trying to keep that piece centered up. to give Haleigh enough time to get back to the bench. Okay, Charlie spinning the pipe again, Ray working the jack line, a good constriction point, using a set of tweezers to flatten that bottom there to make an easy punty piece, or a punty connection rather. Alright, now this is the cool part. So that same constriction point that Ray was forming earlier with the jacks, he's now using a flat pad on a bucket of cold water to chill crack that neck. So what we're doing here is adding a stress point to that piece. So you see Mark add his punchy here, literally just sticking it on the bottom. It kind of sticks like hot glue. And then what we're going to do here in just a moment is Haleigh will crack off the piece. Give it a big old Judy chop. A little bit harder. Maybe just a little bit more water. Get it chill off there all the way. Bam, there we are. Okay. All right. Haleigh's first piece is in the very trusty hands of Mr. Mark Davis, one of our longest employed glass workers here, glass worker extraordinaire. If Mark can't do it, it can't be done. So you'll see now where the piece is not fully in the glory hole, it's actually just heating the front. We don't want the entire piece to be hot, just the neck. So that Mark can open up and flare that neck out. We'll see what that happens here in just a moment. Nice smooth rotation of the piece ensures an even heat throughout. You don't want hot spots, you want uniform heat. Okay, so now that end of that piece is super red hot and ready for work. We'll watch Mark do the magic here. Using a set of jacks, opening that neck up a little bit, dipping his hand in water to keep it cool. A pair of shears to trim that neck up to adjust the height. Let's get real close. Using the back end of a wooden paddle to flare it out even further. Ray in the background here has gotten a bit of glass. I believe that's yellow. So we're doing a wrap now around the end of the piece here. You'll see that on some of our items that are in the catalog, we'll have an accented color here. So right now we have citrine with cobalt, or perhaps a seafoam with a cobalt wrap. That accented color really stands out. We wouldn't be the most colorful name in glass without it. Let's get a little bit closer if we can. Alright, back to the finisher's bench. Using the jacks again to open that neck up even further. You see he's actually flaring that neck out. Paddling away on that lip there to ensure it's nice and smooth and consistent. Okay, it's a flare she's going to get. Derek or carry in, crack the piece off by Mark, and into the layer she goes. let's follow Derek in here really quickly and see exactly what goes on behind the scene. We do a lot of walking here at Blinko. You gotta walk, 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 walk. Derek is putting this new vase into our probably 100-year-old layer. This thing is older than time. I'll plop him down right there. This is a, I don't know, 60 foot, I don't even know how long that is. But what happens is the glass rides down on a conveyor belt, and it takes 5 hours to ride all the way down. During that 5-hour trip, it starts at 1600 degrees on one end, goes down to 600, and then eventually room temperature, so that on the other side it comes out nice and cool to touch. If we didn't do that, the glass would not anneal properly. It would crack and fracture every single time. So if you're a glass worker in the glass business, you have some sort of layer or annealing oven to cool your pieces. Very important part of the glass working process. You probably see around me all these random buckets of tools and blocks and paddles and all sorts of weird looking things. Very proud to say that most things here that you see in the background are made at and by Blinko. We have an amazing maintenance crew. They do a lot of work here. It takes a lot of work to keep us in production. Daniel, our master mold maker, made that very mold there. Everything's done by hand. Hey Derek, pop that mold down, open him up for us. So you'll see Daniel will actually cut 2 pieces, takes one log, cuts it in half, and does a mirrored image of each shape. Now, symmetrical molds like this, you actually spin in place. You see they're perfect mirrors of each other. And once they mirror, they let it ride on that steam layer, and it's not smoke coming out when they're actually blowing it, that's steam. And you'll see it's kind of waterlogged in there right now. That allows the wood to burn out evenly, and they do burn out. You know, after so many pieces, Mr. Daniel has to make us a new mold. But it's just one of the things that we have to do around here to keep making glass. Go step around the dummy now. Watch Mr. Ray starting the bubble. Need just an itty bitty little piece of glass on it. So this part's really cool, and an underlooked part, but very important. Again, shaping that bubble to ensure that when they put it back in to get more glass on top, it's smooth and consistent and even. So he's just letting it ride on a little block right now. You'll see it kind of looks like it has little specks in it. Ray must have put some frit in there. So just a little puff of air, and you see his thumb is on the end of that pipe that allows the heat from the glass to expand the air and form a bubble. You can see it's just getting just a little bit bigger as he works it from those little puffs of air. Another little bit puff of air, just a little bit bigger. Get it close up right quick. See, you guys can see the frit in it. This is going to be a pretty one, y'all. Lots of talent in that building. That's a very good comment from Terry. Yes, an insane amount of talent. We're talking, you know, Mark's been here, I believe, 43 years. You get pretty good doing anything for 43 years, but the skill and talent that goes into each piece that we make, I mean, even a sun catcher takes a certain amount of skill and talent to stamp and press appropriately. Ain't nothing easy around here. So here's Charlie working out of our Tangerine ruby furnace. So that same ball that Ray had just a moment ago, and you can see the frit inside, is now encased in our Tangerine ruby glass. Depending on how much we color it, how much we heat it, will change the final result of this piece. We'll see how it turns out. So again, Charlie spinning the pipe for us here, Ray helping Haleigh shape and move the weight of the glass there. Shaping the piece, elongating the weight. See if we can get a close-up on the ball here. Yeah. You can still see the bit of the frit inside there, although it is kind of glowing orange, glowing hot right now. And I forgot to mention earlier, of course, too, if you guys don't mind, go ahead and give us a share. so we can help Haleigh hit her goals for her softball trip. You see, moving that weight out, elongating the piece, elongating the shape. She's going to give it a little puff of air. See that piece increase in size, just barely. Charlie again with the gravity assist, letting the piece just kind of dangle, hanging out with it, letting gravity do the work here. See how the piece is already an inch or two longer now. Using the paddle, shaping it out even further. Ray using the jacks again to form a constriction point. That's where we'll crack off the piece later. Okay. Charlie's on his job, now into the trusty hands of Ray here. Again, another little puff of air, and you'll see his thumb is still what was on the end to use that coefficient of expansion of air. Into the glory hole again, heating the entire piece. Swinging out of there. I'm going to get out of the way. There we go. All right. Now that heat that Ray applied just now does two things. Number one, it allows it to be malleable and movable, of course. And number two, because this is our Tangerine Ruby collar glass, it's actually going to change the entire color of the piece. All right. In the mold we go. Haleigh giving a big puff of air. Ray twisting and moving the pipe as well to maintain that shape. And lots of steam coming out. Okay, and there's our shape. Same as before, Charlie's sticking it up to help balance that. If you're not balancing it, it'll just kind of fold in half and hit the ground. That's not what you want at all. Charlie's also been here for about 25 years, a long-time employee of Blinko Glass. Okay, so some tweezers again to help form the punchy point. Using the paddle to drop more water on now to chill and crack that neck off. Here comes Mark again with his punchy, which is just a little bit of glass on the end, shaped in a way to allow for maximum connection. Literally just hot glue, it just sticks right on there. That's all about temperature differences. If the piece on the bench is too hot or too cold, the punny won't stick and the piece will go on the floor. Okay, big chop. Ray come in, Grandpa, give it a good whack here. Bam, there we go. All right. Okay, piece number 2, headed to the glory hole again to get finished. Charlie get another pipe pot. They might be trying something different pipes for different jobs, depending on how the size of the piece or the amount of glass that you need to complete it. Get a little closer if we can. Take a little bit more time because it needs a little bit more heat there at the neck. It got really cold. Okay, and back onto the finisher's bench she goes. Using the jacks again to flare that neck out. A little bit of gravity. You notice that how he kind of uses those shears and cuts from the bottom up. That is a technique that will keep that glass from falling down onto your hand as you're actually cutting. So how you cut things, the direction that you move things, everything matters here, especially when you're handling a multi-thousand degree substance like molten glass. You got to be careful, you got to know what you're doing. Okay, so Debbie Allen just asked us, what is Frit? Well, we're going to find out right now. So Frit is essentially crushed glass. It comes in different sizes, different consistencies, different colors, and all sorts of stuff. But what Charlie's doing right now is shaping most likely a handle. And so you'll see he's kind of paddling it out a little bit. This is probably going to be some sort of a square handle. Let's go see him put it on right now. Okay, so he formed the shape of the handle, and he's got hot again before we can apply it. Now that steel table he was using is called a marver, and that by marvering or shaping the glass, you're actually robbing or stealing the heat from the glass. So we got to add some heat back to it so it's malleable enough to turn into a handle. And Debbie, I'll show you the Frit here in just one moment. Here we go. Okay, Charlie's going to apply our handle now. Mark is the handle master. He'll put handles on anything. Okay, so that flat bit now, applied directly across the pitcher spout he applied. Use the diamond shears cutting off at the appropriate length. Gravity and some centrifugal force to spin it around. And spinning it out again. All right. So you'll see inside here the color is actually a little bit different, and that just depends on how they did the ball, how they applied the Frit to the process. It's a beautiful handle, of course, by Mark. We'll now hold it up. Derek will grab it to carry in, and into the layer it goes. All right, piece number 2 is in. If you guys are watching later, I'll try my best to list the pieces as piece 1, piece 2, piece 3, so you'll actually be able to see the piece that we're making and the pictures that we put online, so you'll know exactly what we're talking about. Okay, Debbie asked what Frit was, so let's take a look at it while they're not working with it. This is Frit. It's just literally crushed glass. All spaced out nice and neat, and even here they see they kind of keep little cards around to keep it in a nice row, so when you're applying it you can get consistent thicknesses, and you know, you don't want more Frit on one side or the other. Maybe you do sometimes, but ultimately they're going to roll this out and apply this to the piece as they make it. So here comes Charlie now with another piece ready to go. He was working in the background shaping the ball and getting the next piece ready. That's how we keep our production numbers up, is splitting out each roll here. You can hear that glass sizzling on the paddle or not. Charlie spinning that pipe, working as a team. Depending on the size of the ball of glass, Ray could probably do this piece himself without the need for someone spinning the pipe for him. Now, some of the things we make, like globes or lamps, that's just a two-man job, ain't no getting around it. See, adding a bit of a conical shape to it now. Okay, now that the piece is shaped, gets a little puff of air from Haleigh. See it increase in size just a little bit. Ray letting it hang there to make it even longer. Oh, okay, looks like we're doing an optic. So that's a straight optic mold, and an optic is just an impression on the piece itself. Literally just making indentations into it. A little bit hard to see on the live video. Yeah, you can maybe, there it is. Okay, so you can see the lines that mold just added just now. Now Ray's going to continue to shape this piece, but not work those lines out. So what we'll see in the end product here are subtle little lines, what we call a straight optic in our piece. This is going to be pretty. Okay, so into the glory hole it goes. Heating just the end, the bottom right now to get more heat in the bottom. And you'll see him kind of plunge it back further. There it goes. So now we want heat through the whole piece, but we want the bottom to be hotter. So you start with the bottom and then the whole piece. Did Blinko participate in more reparations in Europe post-war? Bobby, that's a great question. And I would love for someone to tell me. I have no idea. Okay, so into the mold we go again. Haleigh giving puffs of air. Kind of like blowing a balloon again, just a bit more force. Lots and lots of steam. Okay, and there's our third piece. Swinging it up. Getting out of the way. And back onto the blower's bench. So now you can see already those straight optic lines we were seeing earlier have given that same shape a whole new aesthetic. Tweezers again, forming the punny mark, punny line. Wood paddle, chilling that neck. What was the very first color that Blinko used? That's a really good question, and I really don't know either. If I were to speculate, I'd say probably crystal. It's the easiest color to melt. Okay, punny mark applied, chilling the neck some more. Bam! Nailed it that time. Heck yeah. Nice. All right, getting out of everybody's way. And back into the glory hole we go. Okay, so you see that pipe that Ray has now is a bit pipe. It's actually not hollow. So he's just getting a bit of glass, probably to do a lip or a handle. Let's watch Ray actually gather some glass out of one of our furnaces. This is our Tangerine Ruby here, our number 8 furnace. You can see the mouth of it's kind of cooked off here. We really put a lot of glass through these things. Let me stand right over Ray's shoulder and see what we're working with here. So Ray is actually keeping an eye right now, watching intently his other team members. So he has to, on cue, grab that bit, just spin it right out of there. Boom, just itty bitty piece of glass. There it is, a literal bit. While that's still hot, straight from the furnace, we're going to apply the wrap around the piece. A slight touch. Oh, we're getting real fancy here, doing a full wrap. Very nice. All right, that's cool. Heck yeah. All right, paddling it out. Okay, I don't know if you guys could hear that or not, but Mark just called the shot on the floor. He wants a crystal handle, and away goes Charlie. Charlie's going to fetch that crystal handle out of our number 16 crystal tank. Tell you what, let's go follow Charlie. go see what's up. All right, so I'm gonna walk clear around. This is what the guys have to do every day. Walk clear to the other side of the factory, where the other furnace is, and our old beat up 100-year-old floors. And he goes into our number 16 crystal furnace. This thing is almost as old as I am. I believe it's been in continual operation for 22 years. So similar to how Ray grabbed that bit momentarily, he grabbed another one. So it's just a real small, literal bit of glass. The person who gets that bit is called a bit boy, appropriately named. So just for one piece, we're hoofing it around this place. I'm having trouble keeping up. So this is really neat as well. Shaping the handle. So just because we got the glass on there, we're not done yet. You'll see Charlie's using the marver table to marver that glass off the end of the pipe. And now we want a flat handle. And you hear Mark clacking in the background. He's ready for it. Okay, there goes Charlie. Adding just a little bit more heat because we took the heat out with the marvering process. And you can see by now, Mark's already got a spout on here. We see our straight optic impression throughout. Nice flat handle. Here we go. Spin it around, let that handle kind of take its natural shape. Little love there. That's going to be a real nice one. Wrap neck, flat handle, straight optic, and some sort of tangerine and yellow combination. That's going to be a wild one. There we go, off to the layer. Okay, we are making some progress here, y'all, having some fun. And again, don't hesitate to ask any questions. If there's a question you've been dying to know, I'll try my best. On the glass making process, I'm not quite the Blinko history buff I need to be just yet. Nicole just asked if there's a discussion on if there will be a glass festival this year. I promise you we would love nothing more than to have our festival of glass just like we always do. Right now, we're just going to have to play it by ear. If things shape up and we have, feeling good about the whole virus situation, the pandemic, of course we would love to do it with appropriate safety precautions. The best answer I can give you is hang tight and we'll let you know. Okay, so we're waiting for Charlie to get another ball. After he works that ball in the bubble, he'll case it again with more glass. And it looks like there's mom and baby brother right there. Hey, wave mom, hey mom. Here comes Charlie in the background with, it looks like the full ball of glass now. Velda asked if we make turquoise vases. You bet, Velda, we make all kinds of turquoise vases. Alright, so teamwork makes the dream work around here at Blinko. Charlie is again moving the pipe continually so the glass doesn't fall off. Ray helping Haleigh shape that piece. A little bit of gravity, let that piece just slide off a little bit. Shaping, using the paddle to get that conical shape again. And a little bit of gravity. And a little puff of air. letting it hang a little. Okay, back into the glory hole for another reheat. Todd asking the important questions here. Do we have the colors picked out this year? Yeah, we sure do. Two of them have already been launched and announced. That is our Citrine, or yellow color that strikes. We also have Emerald. Emerald is a kind of a bluish, greenish color. It's gorgeous. And we actually can case that with our crystal, which makes seafoam. If you liked our mint color before, you'll really love seafoam. Alright, so you saw Ray use that straight optic mold again. There we go. She's on her own now, adding the constriction point. There she goes. Yeah. Good. She made two and already on her own now. Must run in the family. Okay, into the glory hole we go. Heating the base of the piece right now. It'll shove it just back a little bit further to heat the whole piece. Flashing the piece all the way back now. He's going to whip it out of here in just a moment. Okay, getting out of the way. So we've done the opposite. We've shaped the piece. We added extra heat and we are ready to blow it. Extra gravity assist again. And the moment she goes. Big, 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 big puff of air. Okay, and there's our next piece. All right. Ray again using the jacks, forming the constriction point, tweezers to form the pussy mark. I'm going to try to get a close-up here. You can actually see that neck where it's basically chill cracked all throughout. That's what we want. Watch Mark stick this honey on. Keep shaping it. Sticks it right on dead center every time. Boom, nailed it. Right on. So this one looks like some sort of blue, perhaps an ice blue, which is our turquoise glass covered in crystal. Ray and Charlie trying to figure out the strategy for this next piece. When we're in full production mode, we know what we're making. There's not much conversation. A little bit faster production rates, of course. Hard to tell what Mark Davis is saying.
That'll work. I can use that.
Boy, they must got something planned. get back onto the finisher's bench the piece goes. You'll notice the top piece now is red hot. Not quite the right length. Mark with an underhand cut here. Bottom of the paddle to flare that shape out. Here comes Ray with a bit. He got a bit off scene. Mark whips that glass down so it kind of falls off the pipe and allows for that lip to get wrapped right off there. You kind of see the base cooling down now. You see that pretty ice blue color shine through. While we're watching Mark finish his piece, I do want to go ahead and mention again why we're here and why we're doing this. So out of shot right now is Ray Adkins. Ray Adkins is one of our longtime glass blowers. He's been here for longer than I've been alive. Very skilled at his craft, talented at what he does. His granddaughter Haleigh plays softball, plays a lot of softball. She's on a traveling team and some other stuff. And what she's been presented with is an opportunity to go to Australia to play in, forget the exact name, but basically represent America. Mark spins that around. For a nice ruffled top. Look how pretty that is. If I know Mark, I bet somebody somewhere is grabbing a handle for us right now. Yep, here comes Ray. Mark digging for a tool real quick. Trusty piece of chalk. A little chalk mark helps us put aligned handles on. It's not cheating, I promise. Okay, so we're going over the top, it looks like. This might turn into some sort of basket vase. Getting out of the way. Oh, we got two handles coming. Oh, yeah. All right, so you notice this bit has been pressed and cut by Ray. So there goes one. You can see it kind of spliced in the middle there. Gives a double handle appearance. Here comes Charlie with yet another handle, also cut and pressed in a similar way as Ray's. Both handles on, give it a good spin. The centrifugal force pulls those out. A little bit of love there. Oh, that's a pretty one, folks. I believe that's a green lip, ice blue body, crystal handles, ruffled top, and a straight optic. Okay, gorgeous, 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 gorgeous. That's a good one right there. That's a keeper. And the process starts again. So Ray and Charlie and Mark are getting their pipes clean. You'll see Derek over here cleaning one pipe. And the process happens 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week at least. Someone had asked about the glass that's left over on the pipe. That's a very, very, very good question. So you'll see these buckets here. I got the number 2. We're on the number 2 shop right now. Inside this bucket is one collar. Inside another will be another, another, and another. We try our best. It doesn't always work out this way, but we try our best to keep our colors separated. When we keep it separated, right, if it's crystal in this bucket or emerald in another, we can, in some instances, throw that back into the furnaces to be remelted and recycled. Some glass, I wouldn't say, I'd hesitate to say infinitely recyclable, but pretty close to it. It's just the same elements melted back in. Now what happens is if we don't keep our colors separated, you can get some surprise melts every now and then. But thankfully our night watch and maintenance crew are top notch. We have chemists on staff, and they are a hard working crew. Now we work hard everywhere here through Blinko, but something that is not quite as glamorous or as fun to watch is the batching process. But really, the production floor and the guys here couldn't do what we do without having a top-notch maintenance and batching crew. You know, we can't make glass if there's no glass to be worked out, or if the glass is bad quality or anything else. So it's all about layers and building that up. So you'll see right now Mark is shaping the punty. He's got just a bit of clear glass. Chilled it, pull back in. Let's take a moment and look at all of Mark's tools. He's got a lot of cool tools of the trade here. The most important tool, quite possibly, is a bucket here with cold water. Water is used for quite a bit, in addition to just keeping your hand cool. So you'll see, if we were to look at Mark's hands right now, probably a nice shade of pink just from the heat. Now he's tough as a pine knot, but the simple fact of the matter is, even after 40 years, you're still going to get hot. So we got our wooden paddle here. Again, all of our wooden tools are made in-house, even some of our metal ones. But through here we've got a bunch of tools. So we see shears, jacks, the long spring steel looking thing there. You'll see diamond shears, so that guy right there, that's the diamond shears used for cutting off certain things at certain times, depending on what you're wanting to do. Also tweezers, very handy. And of course the bucket of spare glass that's there for the cutoffs and everything else that we get to recycle and throw in our cullet bucket. Somebody asked me a question. Okay, so somebody asked what frit was earlier. So here's Ray doing a frit roll up right now. Literally taking the bubble of glass that he has and smushing it on the frit. So we want full coverage of that frit, so he's pushing the bottom, the sides, make sure there's even coverage. So what he's doing there, whoop, just a little puff of air. Inside that ball of glass he has is a little bubble of air. Getting that bubble to start and to continue through the piece is the trick here. See if we can see that frit. So he rolled the frit on, right? You can probably see it. There we go. You can see that frit. So what happens is you apply the cold frit to the hot glass, but we actually have to heat the frit on top of it. So you see Mark is going to shape that ball some here before we case it again in more color. So we're kind of sandwiching that frit between the multiple colors that we're doing here. So here comes Charlie, oh, with another bit of glass. Okay, so we're going to do some sort of wrap on the ball. All right, y'all, this is going to be a real nice one. So what? All right, so possibly feathering and pulling those wraps. Back to the glory hole. All right, so we have one base collar covered in frit, wrapped around with another collar, back into the glory hole again for extra heat. So we have to get that whole ball there uniform, the frit, the wrap, and the glass underneath all together. Okay. All right, now Ray's gonna do what Ray is known for here. He can feather and pull and do all kinds of really awesome stuff. He's really, really good at what he does. So see, now he's taking all that frit and that wrap and everything else, compressing it down and shaping that bubble so it's uniform. We need it nice and smooth on the outside. See right now, oh yeah, look at that. Nice. So a little bit more work in it. The guys are trying to figure out exactly how to make this piece shine. All right, so that ball is nice and uniform now. I'm gonna follow Charlie over to our crystal tank because I think this is cool. So what we're doing right now is called casing. We get to do that a lot with all of our different colors. Most commonly we'll case a base color in crystal. You'll see all these different layers, all these different colors really pop out. Kind of similar to how they make paperweights and some other stuff too. Charlie rocking the Blinko shirt. All right, so taking that color heated ball, getting on this side here, and he's gonna dip down in right into that layer of glass. I think my color correction added a little hicked up there, but literally dumps that ball of glass into a molten tank of glass and just covers the entire ball back on crystal. So now we have the weight that we need. There's enough glass there to be worked and to be blown. This is going to be maybe my favorite, or favorite so far anyways. We'll see what we do next. This is going to be pretty. You see those colors and the striations underneath there. Again to get that constriction out, or to move the weight of that glass to form the conical shape. Using the jacks to form that constriction point, literally just squishing it down. You see that nice little constriction there now. It has to be, of course, off the end of the pipe so it'll crack off appropriately. Big puff of air from Ray. Okay, somebody asked if we're going to use the pink frit using the Valentine's water bottles and anything else. The short answer is, as much as we would love to, we can't. We have used up all the frit that we can get our hands on, so that's pretty well done for now. Okay, so we're going over to the mold now. Derek's clamping the mold. Ray is moving the piece there to keep the symmetry. Charlie on standby in the background. Mom and little brother is there. Haleigh blowing and forcing that air into the shape. And a bunch of steam. All right, there she goes. Let's see how pretty this is. Oh my goodness. It's not even cool yet, and it's pretty. All right, so Ray coming back again with jacks, forming that constriction point. Tweezers to get the punning mark ready. See, just a little subtle indentation, not much. See the color changing as it cools down. Mark again with the puntee. Stuck dead center. Charlie rotating the pipe. Even Derek bringing more water in to help with the process. And over to Haleigh. Boom, nailed it. All right. Okay, so the neck was a little bit short on this one. That's all right. We'll make do. Mark knows how to fix it. Done on the neck of the piece. Using the jacks again to flare that neck out. In for another heat. Now I don't know what Mark's going to do here, so let's see what happens. A little bit of paddling there, just in the shape of that neck, I'm sure. So somebody had asked, how long do the wooden tools last? It depends on what they're used for ultimately, but you'll see them all kind of stuck in these buckets of water. They're always soaking, so they don't get burnt. Yeah, it's really kind of hard to say. You'll see the end of Mark's paddle here. There's barely anything left to it. Oh, okay, he's flaring it out, turning into a big spun bowl. That's very nice. All right, all right. Cool. Okay, so a giant ruffled bowl type of dish here, and look at that collar inside. That's going to be neat, y'all. Okay, Derek getting underneath. Mark taking his tools, cracking off, pop, pop, pop. All right, there we go. Into the layer she goes. Looks like some yellow, some white, all kinds of pretty stuff on that one. Okay, back to Laura's question here. So how long do the wooden tools last? You see on Mark's tool here that was using just a minute ago, charred and burn up. The other end is charred and burn up as well. This, of course, you see how they just gradually age out. I imagine he's going to need him a new paddle here soon. I'm not sure. That's not a spider, some sort of ruffled edge type of mold optic. Charlie hitting the ball right now. Okay, someone asked what our COE, or coefficient of expansion, is. That's a really good question. Let me see what I can do about getting you an answer for that. I know it is known somewhere, but not to me. Send us a Facebook message, we'll get back to you on that one. I do know a lot of people use our glass to fuse and to slump and do all kinds of cool things. Our sheet glass, which we're not making today, is used for all sorts of things like that. This is cool. Let's go watch Charlie form and shape this ball. So you'll see inside, I don't think you guys can see it on Facebook Live right now, but inside is an itty bitty bitty tiny little bubble of air. And Charlie is shaping that bubble now and basically encouraging the bubble to get bigger. If that bubble inside, you'll see him right now, just a little puff of air. Little puff of air to form and shape that ball. There he goes. And his thumb's on the end. So literally just a little puff of air plus the heat of that glass will cause the air to expand enough and form that bubble. Now you saw the jacks that we were using earlier to form that constriction point. You never ever ever want to cut your bubble off because your piece won't blow and it won't be workable. It's one of those things that the guys do 8 hours a day and can do with their eyes closed, but will struggle for beginners to get the technique down all the way. All right, Charlie's doing another gather here, so he's let his shaped and formed his bubble, his ball. He's going to go in now, back into our Tangerine Ruby tank, dipping it into the hot glass, and covering it, spinning the pipe as he does. And now we have much more glass on our piece. Once that second gather is done, it goes to the blower's bench to be shaped and blown. And there's Haleigh again, the one that's going on the softball trip to Australia with your all's help. Misty asked a very good question. Who has worked there the longest making these masterpieces? I believe that would be Mr. Mark Davis, the man behind me here in the yellow shirt. He has been here 43 years. I think I said it earlier, but it's bear repeating again. If Mark can't do it, it can't be done. Or shouldn't be done. Little puff of air, increasing that size of the piece. Here comes Ray with the jacks to form that constriction point. Couple more puffs of air. The piece is roughly the shape we want. Now that tank that Charlie gathered out of again on the second gather was our Tangerine Ruby tank. Tangerine is a strange color. It's a striking color. Depending on how much heat you apply to it, it'll turn ruby. So if you see in our ruby water bottles, that's just a fully struck Tangerine. Same batch, same color, same furnace, same everything, but different working technique as we're applying heat. Pretty much everything here at Blinko is adding or removing heat and timing. Okay, we got that piece nice and hot. Into the mold again we go. There's our next piece. Charlie's swinging that up to keep the weight distributed while it's nice and hot. Gotta work it, work it, work it, work it. Misty asked a great question. What is your favorite piece? I'll assume that means me, and that's really hard to say, Misty. Probably my favorite shape has got to be your 847L large daisy bowl. It is gorgeous in every color, especially our rare and limited run experimental colors. It is probably my favorite piece. You just can't beat it. Great price, very sturdy. There we go. A little bit of muscle to it. Awesome.
Hey, Ray, what was the ball?
All right. Very cool. Gotcha. All right. So Ray was just telling me here the first gather where we did the ball was yellow, or citrine collar. And then the second gather that we saw Charlie do just now was in our ruby. And then he collared that ruby, as you saw there in the glory hole the second time in that second reheat. So what we're going to see is yellow on the inside. As that vase opens up on the inside, it's going to be yellow. On the outside, it'll be red. I believe there's also going to be some sort of wrap and probably a handle or two on this as well. See, by controlling the heat or the position in the glory hole, he gets to control that heat. To see a nice straight line right down through that piece right now, that's controlling the heat towards the top of the pieces. Otherwise, if it was uniformly hot, it would lose its shape, and you'd have a heck of a time getting it finished and cut down and to what you wanted it to be. Just kind of cool to see just how well they can control that heat. Johnson, you'll have to stop by and see us next time you're in. Of course, our production floor viewing area is unfortunately closed right now to the general public. Our gift shop is very much open and active, and including our glass garden. So we have a garden out back full of garden glass, plus a pond and pretty ducks and stuff you can come feed. So it's absolutely always worth a visit, even though our visitation area is not open. We do have a museum upstairs as well. It's a self-guided tours available all the time. Our visitor center gift shop is open from 9 to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday. And Saturday as well. Sunday it's open from 12 to 4. See Mark working that neck out. So a very different shape. From the same mold and same gathering techniques and everything else, it looks completely different. You saw the ruffled bowl a moment ago. We can turn bowls into vases and vases into bowls and cups into you name it. It's actually one of the best things I like working about here is creating and crafting and inventing new ways to use old things. Bobby Mayhew was asking if Blinko made the music award. So a few years ago, Blinko did in fact make the Country Music Award. I believe it was we did some things for them for the Country Music Awards for several years. We've also done the Mountain Stage Awards as well. We did a giant record, kind of like a giant sun catcher for us. I had mold and impressions on it. So there's Mark spinning that piece out, spinning. Another ruffled mold. Then the glass just collapses on it. See what it looks like on the inside. There's the yellow. Okay. So inside, outside, two completely different colors. Very, very, very cool. Got it. Mark looking at his work there. Look at that. Super cool. You see the striations of the yellow on the inside? Go ahead, dear. Thanks, sir. That was cool. That was cool. Okay, I think we're going to do one more piece. Here comes Charlie. So while one member like Mark was finishing and getting the piece into the layer, the other side of the team is working hard to get the next piece ready. Misty asking about the broken glass that used to be outside. And if they ever get reused. Yeah, absolutely, Misty. That's a great question. So we call that our glass cullet, and we try our best. Years ago, you probably saw it outside and sorted in nice, clean piles. And we still do that, just in a different spot out back, to keep our cullet separated by colors that we can increase and throw into our furnaces. So let's say, for instance, we want some crystal glass. Well, throwing crystal cullet in with a crystal batch actually helps our batch, the raw ingredients of sand, melt faster, more evenly. Okay, Ray's going back in for another heat. Okay, so after the piece is nice and hot, back into the mold. Derek holding that mold closed for us. Haleigh, big puff of air causing the steam to come out. It actually rotates all the way, spins inside there. Out of the mold she goes. All right, y'all know the drill by now. Constriction on the neck using the jacks. Tweezers to form the punchy mark on the bottom, or a file there, just a slight indentation. Paddle to drop some water on that neck, chill it down real nice. Mark with the puntee. Nice and chilled around the neck now, thanks to Ray's quick work. And hopefully we get a big There we go, very nice. All right. Okay, into the glory hole we go for our next heat. Just got done cleaning the pipe, putting it back into the glory hole to retain its heat. You see Ray in the background there walking around getting the next ball ready. So you can see the neck of this one didn't have a good crack off, so Mark's got his work cut out for him here. Taking those shears, underhanded cut. So Ray just came around, I assume crystal, with a crystal bit of glass. Mark flaring that neck out. Comes Charlie around the corner here as well. So Charlie and Justin here doing double duty, blowing or gathering and all that kind of stuff with their bit boys right now. Both have gone to the same tank, got the same bits. This is a round handle compared to the flat handles we were doing earlier. Applied to the body in a very similar way. Charlie waiting on Mark's signal there to apply the other handle. Got his bit hot. Like a emerald bubble cased in yellow, possibly with crystal handles. There's got him there, cracked off, and into the layer she goes. Right on. Okay. Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us today. I believe that's going to be everything. Haleigh, wave goodbye. Thanks for everybody who tuned in and watched us today. Mom and little brother, wave goodbye as well. Hey, Ray. Ray, wave goodbye to everybody, tell them bye, wave everybody on the shop. Thank you all, and we're going to do this again sometime soon. If you need anything from us, contact us at blinko.com. We'd love to hear from you, and if you need anything, you let us know. Take care, bye. Bye, guys.